All right, good morning, everyone. I'm Holly Lester. I am the new CDBG, well, sort of new, 2 months in CDBG coordinator, and sitting here with Jeff Hasser, the CDBG manager, and we also have Katie Bannon and Amber Hayes hanging out. And we'll just get started. So this webinar is for any CDBG or home project sponsors and awardees with active construction projects, including owner-occupied repair. And this webinar is going to cover CDBG quarterly reporting, the form for home ownership, homeowner repair, and rental rehab contracts, as well as CDBG other reporting documents for non-housing. And we will have another webinar immediately following this relating to all home projects.
And I wanted to emphasize that you don't need to switch to another webinar or log in again or anything like that. We'll just be switching the presentation over.
All right, quarterly reporting. Okay, so we're going to start off with the contractor request form process. If you are working with a contractor that is not already in our system, you can see on the first rectangle there, the project sponsor procures a company not currently on the quarterly reporting form template. You will fill in a contractor request form and submit it to CDBG staff before the deadline, specifically for the contractor request form, not the quarterly report form deadline. Then we will add the new contractors to the quarterly reporting form template. Then we will send out the QR form template back to you. Then you will complete the quarterly report form and submit that before the quarterly report form deadline. And if there are any new contractors, you just repeat the same process. We'll update the form and resend the quarterly reporting template. So for contractor request forms, the due dates, you see the first one is 2 days from now, April 12th. We're closed on this Friday for Good Friday. So please get that into us as quickly as possible so that we can add any new contractors to the quarterly report form. And then, the next one's in July, September, and December. Contractor request forms not submitted by these dates will result in the suspension of claim reimbursements and a monitoring concern. If there are no contractor additions, no action is required. So if you're only working with contractors that are already currently on the quarterly report form, no action is needed at this time. And here we have the quarterly reporting contractor request form. And you can see that it asks the standard information that you would expect, company name, and since there are eligibilities for women and minority business status, that's why we have a column on there for race and ethnicity. In the last 4 columns, you can see what we usually refer to as the MEBI, WEBI, VB for minority, women, and veteran and disabled business owners. So before a contractor will appear in the drop-down box, project sponsors will submit the contractor's information to us here. And this helps us standardize the contractor information, and then we will check for any of the MEBI, WEBI status eligibility for these contractors when you submit the contractor request form. And we want to emphasize, do not write in a new contractor on a quarterly report because we won't be able to approve it. And most of you have probably already dealt with the quarterly report form. It's an editable Excel format for 2017. One report should be completed per individual purchase order. So if you are part of an organization that has several projects, and each of them has individual purchase order numbers. You have to do as many reports for however many purchase order numbers you have. But I know some programs they might have different components, but they use the same purchase order number, and in that case, you would just use one quarterly reporting form. There are 5 sections to the quarterly reporting form. There's project overview, project leverage, client demographics, unit information, and contractor information. And most of y'all have probably already seen this form before, but there are some auto-populated, like when you fill out one part of the form, certain cells within it, it'll automatically create the graph part of it, so don't get scared by the bar graph. So you'll complete all fields except percentage completed and environmental reviews, percentage completed. These will auto-calculate. The project progress graph will auto-complete as data is entered, and the progress narrative should be kept short and highlight where the project is at this point, and this should include any delays. This is the leverage tab. Only the leverage that went directly into the program and properties should be counted. Do not include operating or line of credit sources in the leverage amount, for example, CHODO funding. This section is how we report on our annual CAPER that we have to submit to the federal office for the CAPER report and show CDBG's impact.
I do want to emphasize again, this is obviously, we have a climate in DC that is potentially having a chopping block for home and CDBG. And really, if we're able to say that we're maximizing our resources, this is where we're going to report, and this is how we're going to show it. So I know this is a frequent one that is skipped for most organizations, and most organizations just may not have additional leverage, but it's something we want to encourage everyone to take seriously and complete if you have any to show.
And this is the tab for client demographics. You can see the unit number column on there. I know that the screenshot of the form is kind of small, but we'll have the documents in the YouTube link so that you'll be able to access them from there. But it just asks how many people are in the household, the number of children in the household, some demographic information about the head of household or beneficiary, and again, number of elderly people and number of disabled, and the income levels are, there's a drop-down box for that section, so please use the drop-down box for that. And then the box at the bottom is just a reference for the income caps for each section for the 30% of the average medium income for different size households. So that's just for reference. You don't need to do anything to that part. And again, fill in all fields. Like I just said, the income level percentage and race are drop down. These criteria are defined by HUD, so we have to use the same language that HUD uses. And the 2016 AMI levels are included as a table. The 2017 AMI calculations haven't been released. That should happen this summer, so we're still using the 2016 AMI. And that should be kept current. The unit number that is assigned to the address in this client sheet should correspond to the same address in the unit information sheet. And this is the unit information sheet. Again, fill in all fields. The type and lead paint columns have drop downs. Again, this is criteria defined by HUD, so we have to use the same language. The addresses can be added in one quarter and be completed in another. And purchase price and appraised value should only be entered for home ownership projects. And lastly, we have the contractor information tab. You'll want to select a company name from the drop-down. Again, do not type over this the cells in this column. If you don't see the company name in the drop-down, then you'll need to send us the contractor request form. Right. All of the gray fields will populate, so it's only those two first columns that you'll have to worry about. Enter the amount of the contract, and this will be a total amount if a contractor is working on more than one CDBG property. All right, and here's the dates for quarterly reporting. Make sure the information is cumulative. The due dates are April 17th. That's 1 week from now, next Monday. So hopefully this is already on your radar. And then again in July, October, and January of next year. Quarterly reports not submitted by these dates will result in the suspension of all claim reimbursements and a monitoring concern. And this is for other kinds of project reporting. These projects include anything non-housing related, including but not limited to economic development and public facilities. There are two types of forms. There's one for public facility and one for economic development and other. If your project does not fit within any of these forms, please contact CDBG staff, myself or Jeff. There are three parts to the public facility project reporting forms. There's project sponsor information, project description, budget and accomplishments, and the project timeline. Each section needs to be completely filled out in order to be accepted by CDBG staff. And for economic development and other kinds of project reporting, there are four parts. There's project sponsor information, project description, project budget and accomplishments, and project timeline. Each section needs to be completely filled out in order to be accepted by CDBG staff. You're probably sensing a theme here. And again, for these quarterly reporting dates, April 12th is the deadline or the due date for the contractor request forms, and again in July, September, and December. And the quarterly report due dates themselves are next Monday, April 17th, and then in July, October, and January of next year. Just a reminder one more time, no claims will be processed for a project sponsor if any of their quarterly reports for all active projects are incomplete or not submitted. DMD staff will be putting additional emphasis on this in 2017.
I do want to just touch base on that. This is something where we've gone back and we rely on these a lot for reporting in our CAPER. And when we have delays with this, when the information isn't complete, you may think, well, you know, it's not a big deal that it's not there, or maybe, you know, we're missing one or two things. It really kind of creates a big burden on us when we're doing this reporting and we're going through dozens of these in order to kind of put them into HUD's reporting form. So we did create this Excel form to try to make it as easy as possible on you and to us, but if it's not completed correctly, it doesn't become the helpful tool that we hoped it to be. So please, please, please complete all sections and all information in there and ensure that it's accurate. And again, no claims will be processed. So even if you have an owner-occupied repair award and maybe another project, if that OOR award claim is not filled completely, we won't process any of your awards. We're really trying to hammer down on this and ensure that we're sticking to what is in our policies and procedures.
All right, a copy of this presentation and a YouTube link to the webinar will be available on our YouTube channel, and a PDF in the Partner Resources section. And we've got the links there. All forms mentioned in this presentation will be emailed out and posted to our website. And any additional questions can be directed to me and the CDBG quarterly reports and contractor request forms will be emailed to me as well. That's my email address there, which I believe most of you have already, but just in case you don't, and that's my number there as well. And if there's any questions, please type them into the question section.
And again, a reminder, we will have a home quarterly report immediately following this, so you don't need to change anything. So if you have questions specifically relating to a home project, please just be patient. We have one question that I will talk with Sherry about that offline. I know we do a little bit different for them. But are there any other questions? Not seeing any. We'll switch it to our partners in the home team now. David just sent a question. When will you be mailing out the quarterly report forms? Those will be available by the end of the today in our partner resources Google Drive. So you can access all of those by the end of the day again, and that's in our partner resources link, which is on our website.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started on the home quarterly reporting webinar. Just a moment. All right, so this webinar will be recorded, obviously. All right, so just make sure your phones are muted. All right, if you have any questions, we encourage you type those in the question box, and we will address those at the end of the webinar. All right, so home grant staff right now, we have Katie Bannon as the home manager. We have the home coordinator, which is coming soon. Just as soon as we know who that will be, we'll make an announcement. And then myself, Amber Hayes, CDBG and HOME analyst. All right, we just want to say thanks to all the project sponsors who completed their quarterly reports last year. Last year was our first time implementing quarterly reports into the home program, and we do appreciate you getting those turned in and working with us on that. And like I said, we appreciate your time and effort in completing those. All right, and our goal here, after reviewing the quarterly reports that were submitted, staff, us here, Katie and myself, wanted to provide additional guidance, so we decided to put together this webinar. So it's just, the purpose of the webinar is to provide clarification and direction related to completing the home quarterly reporting form. All right, and so you may be wondering why we actually require you to do a quarterly reporting form. And that's because HUD will often ask the city to provide an update on our projects. The quarterly report provides the city with a summary of the activities completed and provides projections for completion of the project. Also, the reports will help reduce the need for city contacting you regarding the status of your project. This kind of just helps keeps us updated with your project, so we're not having to reach out to you for little questions and things like that. And it also helps the city anticipate issues that may arise and also resolve them early. All right, it also increases the communication between city and the project sponsor. It helps us reconcile our financial records just to make sure that our records are the same as yours and we're clear on how much money has been claimed and what funds are available. Unlike CDBG, HOME's quarterly reports are not used to track meeby-weebies for HUD. The completion reports serve that purpose. So when you submit your completion reports, that's where you're going to record all your contractors and subcontractors and if they're meebies and weebies. So we don't actually ask for that information in our quarterly reports, but in the completion reports. All right, and also helps the city meet the 2013 home final rule commitment and disbursement deadlines, and it helps us to avoid losing home funding from HUD. So we definitely don't want to lose any funding, so we want to make sure we keep them updated. All right, so just a couple of things from HUD, things that we see on our end that you may not see, and one of those things are called red flags. Red flags are messages from HUD that we receive in our website that require us to do some type of action. Requires the city to take some type of action. For some reason, there's a project that might be concerning to HUD. So, for example, infrequent draws. So, if you're not, drawing your funds, when you should be or in a timely manner, then we get red flags to let us know that there haven't been any draws done in 12 months or more. Also, the final draw status. So if you've completed your project for the most part and you still have one final draw left and you haven't drawn it yet, then we get red flags every 30, 60, 90, or 120 days to let us know that those draws haven't been made yet. So just a little bit of information about what we see from HUD. Also, infrequent draws for 12 months or more means that no claims have been processed for at least 12 months. So once again, that's a red flag to HUD that if they're not seeing funds being drawn within a year, that there could be some type of issue or holdup with the project. HUD places a hold on all draws and financial setups in IDIS until the city provides an explanation to HUD for the infrequent draws. So for example, if we have one project sponsor that might not be drawing their funds properly or within a year, that it could block things up for the whole HUD system and not allow us to do anything for any organization or any project. So that's why it's important. And also to the reports will assist the city in answering these questions that HUD, the red flags, the questions that HUD asks us. All right, and the final draw status for 30, 60, 90, or 120 days, that basically means if a final claim has been submitted to the city without the completion report information data entered into IDIS. So once again, HUD is making sure that we're getting the completion information into the system as well in a timely manner. Like I said, HUD will place a hold on all activities if we don't satisfy that red flag. And like I said, that message could hold all claims up until that issue is resolved. All right, so there's 3 different types of quarterly reports for home projects. First, we have the construction quarterly report, which will probably be the main one that a lot of you use. We also have the down payment assistance quarterly report, which is specifically for INHP only because they handle our down payment assistance portion. And then the last report is our CHOTO operating quarterly report, so just those organizations that receive CHOTO dollars will need to fill that out. All right, so this is the quarterly reporting, or the construction quarterly reporting form. This is the first page. This page just covers some of your basic information, like the project sponsor name, the contact person at the organization that we would contact regarding this report, their email address, things like your PO balance, the addresses that are in your project, and then just your developer fee balance. All right, the second page is going to be the timeline, the project timeline. This page is a table that will basically outline the project and kind of where you're at and what you are going to be doing at each site each month. A couple things about this page. We want you to make sure that you include the number of units that fall into each category and not just an X. We did notice last year that some project sponsors were putting in X's in the box and not necessarily indicating how many houses that they planned on, doing that activity in that month. Now, if your project is just one home, then you're free to use that X because there's just one home that we're tracking. But if you have more than one, please use numbers and not X's. And also just try to make this as accurate as possible. All right, now the third and last page on the construction quarterly report. This section of the report is there for you to give a narrative or basically an update on your project. This is where you would discuss any issues or delays that may arise with your project. If you foresee anything going on, this kind of just helps us stay aware, and if things like maybe an amendment might be needed, just kind of keeps us up to breast of what's going on so we can take care of that.
So we really, really encourage you to fill this information in. When we're talking about HUD wants an update, they want this narrative that you're putting in here. So if for any reason it's not progressing exactly according to plan, which we know does happen, put some information in there about what's happening, when you expect things to be happening, why they happen, so we can relay that information to HUD.
Okay. All right, so now the next form would be the down payment quarterly reporting form. Like I said, so this is just going to kind of be for INHP, who handles the down payment assistance. This is a new form that was created to address the differences between the construction form and then the down payment assistance form, because it's not going to collect the same information. This is a copy of the form. Basically, kind of some of the same things. We're just collecting some of the general name, contact information. We also would like for you to include your purchase order number and how much of your award you've drawn down as current as of that quarter. Now, there's a couple of different things on here. The direct buyer subsidy, so you're going to include in here how much funds were given directly to the buyer, and then the program delivery fee. And then at the bottom here is where you're going to list the addresses of who all was helped with the down payment assistance. And then just the second page on here, this is a page for your narrative as well. If you have anything that you want to say, give us any updates or anything like that, and that's where you're going to want to put it on this form. This form is only actually 2 pages, so it's kind of short and sweet. All right, so the next and last form here is the CHOTO operating quarterly reporting form. This one too is just a 1-pager, some of the same basic information. So basically it's just gonna want your project sponsor name, contact person, email address. We want to know your PO number, the award balance, or what you show you've claimed to date. And then at the bottom, you're going to include any updates, concerning this award or what have you. This is just 1 page. All right, so we went through all 3 of our forms. There are a couple of things that I do want to mention here. I also want to let you know that when you're filling out this report, if you do have more than 1 award or more than 1 PO, we do ask that you do 1 PO per form. So yeah, so if you have more than 1, then each PO is going to have a separate form. That just kind of helps us keep things separate, and just clears up maybe any confusion if more than 1's on the form. Also, as well as with CDBG, if you do not have your quarterly report submitted, then we will not be able to pay out claims. So if you want to make sure your claims are, paid in a timely manner, make sure you keep up on your quarterly reports, and the due dates are in this webinar, so you can mark your calendar for those. Let's see here. So the first quarterly report is going to be due Monday, April 17th. Our due dates are the same as, CDBG's due dates. So the first one is 4/17, and we will also have our forms on the website, and then a link to this webinar on there as well. All right, and if there's any questions, please just go ahead and type those in. Oh, but before we stop here, let me just show you this last slide. This has our contact information once again. Katie, home manager. Soon we will have a home coordinator. We'll update this information and announce them to everyone when they start. And then as well as my information, I will be the one that's collecting the reports. So you do want to email those to me. You can also carbon copy Katie if you like, but just send those to me. I'll collect those. And there's our information there. All right, so yeah, if you have any questions, please go ahead and type those in the box. Let's see here. All right, at this time I do not see any questions. Once again, like I said, a copy of this whole webinar, including CDBG, will be on our website. And if you have any questions, we'll also send out a link to our forms. I'll go ahead and email those out to everyone as well. If you have any questions, just email one of us directly. Thank you so much for taking time out of your morning and listening to our webinars. You have a great day.